Hey, Dave.
Yes, Mr. Speaker?
This is John Ham. Sorry.
No, no problem.
Cozy is trying to get on. She can't get on. I don't know what to tell her. We've walked
I
through
will
it twice.
I will
Okay.
have I will have our technical person give her a call
Okay, I'll let her
and work
know.
with her. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have her phone number? Sorry about that. We did not have her phone number, only her email.
I'm happy to send. Is the best thing for me to send it to you privately, Wendy?
Yes, that'll be perfectly fine. Thank you.
Let me know if you got that.
Hi, Terry. You're unmuted and you have 2 minutes before we need to go live.
Okay, just really quickly. Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Terry Hagler-Gray. I'm sitting in on your meeting since this is your first ever virtual zoning committee meeting. Dave will be handling the meeting, but before we begin, I wanted to just briefly tell you that to remind you that you will be streaming on Facebook Live and YouTube. So keep that in mind as you're doing whatever you're doing in your home. It will be live streamed. Also, if there are any I see you, Dave. If there are any chats or text messages, email exchanges that go on during the meeting, that will be public record. So be careful about communicating with your fellow commissioners or any petitioners or agents during the meeting, because that will be public record. Also, Sam will probably talk to you a little bit about this before the meeting begins, but every vote that you take needs to be a roll call vote. So please listen for your name and reply loudly enough for Sam to and the clerk to record what your vote is on every vote tonight. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy.
And I will shake this up just a little bit. When you all have to vote, it's going to be a lot quicker if you can unmute yourselves and vote. And Terry, I don't know if there's a list that people can do that in order so that there's a little bit of control with, kind of like we do with council meetings, where
Yes.
we have an order.
Okay, Sam, could you put in the chat which order you will be calling the roll?
And once again, so during any kind of voting and you guys need to quickly do roll call, I'll let you mute and unmute yourself. And in the chat, okay, he's going to do alpha order, ending with the chair. And does that make sense to you all? I hope it does.
Does that make sense? Please nod if that makes sense to you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. One minute before we go live. So quickly, the names are Gusman, Ham, Kelly. I apologize, I cannot say Nowski. I'm Southern and I do not pronounce names well. Sorry about that.
It's Wasike.
Wasike. Ah,
Yeah, the N is silent.
okay. Told you I'd kill it. Wiggins and then Spencer. All right.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being with us tonight. This is the May 5th, 2020 meeting of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Planning Commission and Zoning Committee. Typically, we start out these meetings by a welcome and a call to order. I am Sam Spencer. I chair the Zoning Committee of the Planning Commission as well as the full commission. And now I will introduce you to our committee members, starting with our vice chair.
Hello, Phil Gusman, Planning Commission.
John Ham, Planning Commission.
Peter Kelly, Planning Commission.
Victoria Wasike, Planning Commission.
I guess we do not have Commissioner Watkins, so we will go on to Nancy.
Commissioner Wiggins, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for being here tonight, Nancy.
Thank you.
Additionally, we will introduce our staff who are on the call, starting with Dave.
Thank you, Dave Fenton, the rezoning team.
Probably easier if I call these out. Wendy,
Wendy Binkhost,
Claire,
Here.
Felix,
Felix Oberon here.
John Kinley,
John Kinley, thanks.
Kent Main,
I'm here.
Laura,
Laura Harmon, Planning.
Lisa,
Lisa Arnold, Planning Staff.
Michael,
Mike Russell, Planning Staff.
Will,
Will Linville, Planning Staff.
and I know I missed somebody from planning staff.
I think we have Joe. Joe, are you on the line with us?
Here, you got a cookie.
And is there anybody I missed from another Charlotte department?
Hey, this is Eric O'Meara with CDOT.
And Holly, my apologies.
Hi, this is Holly Kramer.
Great.
That's everybody. Yep. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Just so everybody knows, the public hearing on the rezoning cases that we're reviewing today was held virtually by the City Council and the Zoning Committee. This meeting is not a continuation of the public hearing, so there will be no public input unless the committee has specific questions. In this format, for the committee to ask specific questions of the petitioner or anybody else, we have to suspend our committee rules. It requires a 5 out of 7 vote of the zoning committee. So first, staff, do we have any deferrals for the meeting today?
We do have one deferral, Mr. Chairman. We have petition 2019-174 as requesting a deferral to June 2nd of 2020, so our next committee meeting. That's the only deferral we have this evening.
Thanks, Dave. Committee members, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the deferrals.
Second,
Motion to approve the deferrals by Gusman, second by Wiggins. All in favor? I'm going to do a roll call. Gusman?
Pause. Yes. Here. Yeah, I mean.
John
Hi.
Yes. Aye.
Peter Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins? I think we're still missing Watkins. Wiggins?
yes.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. That is a 6-0 vote to defer rezoning petition 2019-174 to June. So next we have our first rezoning of the evening. That is rezoning petition 2019-006 by Americo Real Estate Company. And Claire.
Mr. Chairman, before we get started on this one, I know this was an item that we had carried over from our March, I believe it was like our March 5th meeting, it was early March, whenever that last meeting was. And we've only got, we had a split vote 3-3, and currently we're still missing Cozy. So at this point, we might.
I'm here.
Cozy's here now. Okay, I was going to say, at this point, if she wasn't able to join us, we might want to. Okay, I was going to say we might want to push this one a little bit so we get everybody here, but we've got everybody here, so we'll get going. Claire, I guess I'll turn it over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. 2019-006 is by Americo Real Estate Company. The request is to rezone a portion of the Freedom Mart Shopping Center that is located on Freedom Drive from the shopping center district to general business and distributive business in order to accommodate a U-Haul truck and trailer operation with mini storage within a portion of the existing shopping center. The site is surrounded by a mix of retail and office uses along Freedom Drive, institutional uses such as Philip Berry Academy of Technology and Valerie Woodard Center, as well as adjacent residential neighborhoods. The petitioner has addressed all of the outstanding issues on the site plan. However, staff does not recommend approval of this request, which is inconsistent with the Central District Plan recommendation for retail uses. The plan recommendation and the rationale in the post-hearing staff analysis further clarify the plan recommendation for retail uses at this site and support for redeveloping this site for such uses, as well as the proposed distributed business district, which is more in alignment with hybrid industrial district. So staff does not support this request in its current form.
Claire, thank you very much for the presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the zoning committee?
I have a comment.
Commissioner Wiggins.
One of the things I think that is interesting about this proposal and should be considered is the fact that given its location and the attraction of U-Haul by entrepreneurs who have need for storage and also for like mini offices, I can attest to the fact that on their location on Sharon Road West is what I'm thinking about. It takes care of those people who are plumbers and landscape people who have need for storage, and they also, and these people may want to do this too, build out some office space for them and allow them to park and rent a space to park their trucks so they don't have to ride them all over Creations. I think that the location is such that it opens up a great deal of business for these entrepreneurs on the northwest side and in central Charlotte.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Wiggins, for your comments. Are there any other comments, questions, concerns? I believe everybody who is on the committee currently was here at the last meeting, except for our newest member of the zoning committee, Peter Kelly. So Pete, especially if you have any questions for the petitioner or staff, I definitely want to give you the chance since the rest of us have already been through this one.
I'm just questioning the reason to focus on retail on a strip when we see retail business in the community decreasing.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. So if there are no more questions, Commissioner Watkins.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I think that this is a good use, and I do think that there's only so many things we can do in this area.
And as Nancy said, I think we're going to have some space for U-Haul and other storage. And I'm with Pete on that. Well, their focus on retail, and we haven't seen it. That space has been there a long time. So I'm in favor.
All right, great. Are there any other questions or comments?
I do see Mr. Ham's hand raised, so.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I was just going to echo. Cozy said what I was going to say. The property has been vacant for so long. I don't think we can wait any longer. We need to develop it for something. And I think this is a good use of that property.
Sam,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to move approval, please.
All right. We're going to have a motion for approval. If you would read the motion script for us.
Oh, I don't. Is it coming up? Okay. Let's see. Where is it? The bottom. Where do I start? The proposed. Okay.
There we go. So,
I want.
Commissioner Wiggins, you guys will have to come up with a approval consistency statement. We've got a recommendation and consistency statement for non-approval. So
Yes.
if you have your script for those two items for the difference between the two, you can pull that up and develop the consistency statement to approve.
This petition is found to be inconsistent with the Central District Plan based on the information from the staff analysis and the public hearing. I want to say, and therefore, the plan calls for retail uses on the site, which has not been generated. The purpose of the location of the property seems to indicate that it will be of very strong importance to the entrepreneurial service industries that serve that side of town. Is that okay?
With it,
Yes.
any second, first of all?
I'm sorry?
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second from Ham.
Second from Ham. All right. Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion or debate on the motion to recommend approval?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Will we add our normal statements as by our consistency statement? All of those statements that we normally add, can we just wordsmith that in?
I tried.
Right. Do you know what I mean, right? Even when we disagree.
Oh, yes. So if the people who want to move to deny, they will be able to make a minority statement if this passes.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So in this case, is there any other discussion or debate? Hearing none, the chair is going to move to the previous question. Commissioner Gussman?
I am in the affirmative.
All right. And just so everybody knows, voting in the affirmative is a vote to approve. Commissioner Ham?
Yes. Affirmative, I guess, to approve Nancy's statement, not to approve staff's recommendation.
That is correct.
All right. Yes, I approve.
Kelly?
Affirmative.
Wasike?
Affirmative.
Watkins?
Affirmative.
Wiggins?
Affirmative.
And I voted against this last time, and I will stay consistent and vote in the negative. So by the chair's reading, the motion carries 6-1 to approve and to recommend the aforementioned statement of consistency be adopted by the City Council. My minority statement for this petition is simple. I will incorporate staff's recommendation to recommend denial as well as the staff rationale. Are there any other questions or anything else you need from us on this one, Dave?
No, I believe that covers it. Thank you all very much.
Wonderful. All right. So
Thank you very much, commissioners.
that moves us, and please, unless you are recognized and you are not a member of the committee or staff, please do not speak. You must be recognized by the commission to be able to speak, please. That moves us on to our next zoning item, rezoning petition 2019-126 by Harrison Tucker, and the staff resources will.
I'd like to confirm you can hear me fine?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So this is a petition to rezone approximately 4/10 of an acre along East 17th and North Davidson Street, located in the Optimist Park community. Current zoning is R8. Proposed zoning is UR2. I'd like to point out that in the request in the staff analysis says with 5-year vested rights, we can mark through that. That was an outstanding issue that's been addressed, and they have removed that request. The petition proposes to rezone 3-parcel assemblage to accommodate the development of up to 16 residential dwelling units, resulting in a density of 40 DUA. As far as the site plan is concerned, again, 16 dwelling units, not exceeding 40 feet in height, committing to some architectural standards, also commits to providing an 8-foot planting strip and sidewalk along the property's fairly narrow frontage along North Davidson Street, and also commits to at least one affordable housing unit. The petition is inconsistent with the Parkwood Transit Station Area Plan's recommendation for residential uses up to 12 DUA for the site. However, staff recommends approval of this petition upon resolution of outstanding issues related to transportation. I will, there's a caveat here, between Friday when this was created and probably this morning, CDOT and the petitioner have resolved all outstanding issues related to transportation. I'll let Felix weigh in after I finish my report to confirm that fact. But yes, staff recommends approval. The petition gets some density close to TOD. It enhances housing choice within this neighborhood and provides affordable housing. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Will?
I've got one. Will, this is Phil Gussman. Were we able to, as I understood, they were successful at resolving the last of the transportation related issues? I don't know if that's you or if it's Felix, actually.
I'll let Felix confirm.
Felix? They were successful.
Hey, Felix, if you're trying to talk, your mic's off.
Sorry. Yes, they were successful in addressing our issues, all of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other
This
questions?
is a nice project. There were some concerns with the neighborhood area, some of the surrounding neighbors, but I think most of them have been addressed. And I think this is a nice addition near our blue line.
Sam, this is Pete Kelly.
Hey, Peter.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned about this forcing displacement. We're increasing density in the neighborhood, violating the Parkwood Transit area, which was intended to keep this affordable. And we're putting in high density, high value property. This seems to be accelerating gentrification of a neighborhood that is historically minority and close to the blue line. The issue is less about density, although it is above recommended amount. We just seem to be increasing displacement.
All right.
I would point out, and I did not point out in my staff analysis, that these are 3 vacant parcels, so nothing is being demolished to provide that density.
Oh, we are increasing the density of property in that neighborhood, which has already suffered and suffering from displacement.
All right. Any other comments from members of the Planning Commission? I see Nancy Wiggins.
I have a question. I assumed that because of the way it was, the units were numbered, et cetera, that this wasn't necessarily a high-end development, and I don't have anything that would suggest to me that it is. So I was wondering, is it high-end or is it affordable housing?
There's a commitment to one federal housing choice voucher program unit in this development. The remaining 15 would be market rate, and I do not know what the price point would be.
Thank you. Will, the next time, can you speak up just a bit? I have trouble hearing sometimes.
And actually, just a note for everybody: if everybody could speak loud and clear, we did have a couple people who were watching the Facebook stream who weren't able to see. Are there any other questions or comments from the zoning committee?
Sam, this is Pete Kelly. I'm talking to the residents in the neighborhood. They are strongly opposed to this for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Wiggins moves to approve with a second by
I'll second.
Philip Gussman. Nancy, if you would please read not the consistency statement, but the other statement that we have.
To approve. The petition is found to be inconsistent with the Parkwood Transit Station.
Nancy?
Yes?
The other one, please.
The other one. I can only see one.
Okay, I'm putting the usual one that we use in the chat really quick, just so everybody has a copy of this. This is the how we make the motion when we have something where we're following the staff recommendation. I just put it in the chat if you want to look at it.
Well, I was reading what came up on my screen. Okay, it says to approve. This petition is found to be inconsistent with the Parkwood Transit Station Area Plan with respect with the proposed land use based on the information from the staff analysis and the public hearings, and because I'm getting all confused now. However, we find the petition to be reasonable and in the public interest based on the information from the staff analysis and the public hearing. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. The petition will provide a dense housing project in a walkable location only 0.3 of a mile from the Parkwood station. This petition achieves the BLE Transit Station Area Plan's overall land use goal of accommodating higher density uses, that support various transportation systems throughout the corridor while protecting the residential fabric of the residential neighborhoods and by providing the opportunity for housing choices. The fabric of the residential neighborhood remains intact as this petition, if constructed, will be developed on vacant land and does not require the demolition of existing single-family homes. Housing choice is further enhanced by Optimist Park throughout the creation of the new multifamily units and the addition of one affordable unit. The petition's request a maximum height of 40 feet matches the by right height surrounding R8 zoning single-family parcels and the desired height noted in the Parkwood Transit Station Area Plan. The request closely matches the previous approved petition 2018-012, both in density and housing type. The petition commits to providing at least one affordable housing unit under the federal Housing Choice Voucher Program. Do I need to read any more?
No.
Is it okay?
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, for future motions to approval tonight, can we please? It's in the chat, but if you can't see it, the way that we're moving on these now is to say the following motion: having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of the petition number as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us. And that's so we don't have to read out the entire consistency statement.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just reading what was in front of me. I thought that was it says consistency statement, so that's why I read it. Apologies.
No worries. Any discussion, any debate since the motion has been properly made? All right. All in favor, or I have to do roll call vote, sorry. Gusman?
In the affirmative.
Ham?
The affirmative.
Kelly?
Against.
Wasike?
Affirmative.
Watkins?
Affirmative.
Wiggins?
Affirmative.
And the chair votes yes. Peter, you are entitled to make a minority opinion statement.
A statement would be that the inconsistency of applying the transit area plan that was attempting to maintain affordability in single-family housing, this is in violation of that need. And the neighborhood is not in favor of the higher value, higher density project.
All right. Thank you, Pete. That is going to move us to rezoning petition 2020-036 by Charlotte Planning, Design, and Development Department. And Claire is our Sherpa on this one.
I'm going to jump in and just run this one through. This is one that we put together just from a department standpoint. 2020-36 is just a little over a half acre west of Pecan Avenue, just north of Independence. It's an area of property that was once DOT right-of-way that's been absorbed back into two pieces of property that are currently zoned B2 PED. So we've had some other cases in this area over the last 8 to 9 years that have come up with the same issue where there's no zoning after the property's been turned back over from NCDOT. So this is really just a request by the department to assign the same zoning district to the entirety of these two properties back to the B2 PED and get it out of that kind of no man's land of not having any zoning on it. So fairly straightforward request. Staff does recommend approval. It's a conventional request. The overlay will be applied to this property as well, so it'll be consistent. And the redevelopment of this shopping center can kind of all have a unified zoning district to do that under with this rezoning request that the city's making just to get that unzoned area back to B2 PED. So happy to take any questions, but again, fairly straightforward on this one.
Great. Dave, thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the Planning Commission?
One question.
Go right ahead.
Dave, is the city's intent to sell this soon? Do you know anything about that?
So this is not city-owned property. We're just doing the petition because that's consistently how we've addressed these unzoned portions of right-of-way that are absorbed back in. There was a property just across from this that was developed into some apartments back in 2015 or maybe 2017, where the city was the sponsor for the rezoning. So we just sponsored the rezoning. It's still owned by whoever owns the majority of that property or that entire property. So no to develop or sell. We don't own it. We're just the applicant for the rezoning.
No worries. I understand then.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Move approval.
All right. We have a motion to move approval from Watkins. Is there a second?
Second, Victoria.
Second from Wasike. So Kosi, if you'd like to read the motion, please.
All right. Having received the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by the staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition 2020-036. As it appears before us, and adopt the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Great. Thank you, Casey. Having been moved and properly seconded, Is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, the chair moves to the vote. Gusman?
Affirmative.
Ham?
Affirmative.
Kelly?
Affirmative.
Wasike?
Affirmative.
Watkins?
Affirmative.
Wiggins?
Affirmative.
And the chair votes yes. We've been informed by council that you can just say aye or yes if affirmative is a word that is too long. The motion carries 7-0. And that will move us to our next petition. We are moving on to 2019-176 by Charlotte Douglas International Airport. And Lisa is our staff resource.
Thank you. This petition is located on the east side of Steel Creek Road, south of Byram Drive and West Boulevard. It's approximately 78.68 acres. The current zoning of the property is R3, with airport noise overlay. The proposed zoning is general industrial, I2, airport noise overlay. This is conventional petition. There's no associated site plan attached to it. And staff recommends approval of this petition. The petition is consistent for a portion of the site per the West Side Strategic Plan recommendation for office, business park, industrial land uses, but it's inconsistent with the institutional land use recommendation for the remaining portion of the site.
Thanks for that, Lisa. Is there any discussion, debate, questions from Planning Commission? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a move approval from Commissioner Gusman. We have a second from
Second, Wasike.
Wasike. All right, Philip, if you'd like to read it.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-176 as it appears before us, and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
All right, having been moved and properly seconded, is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we will move to the vote. Gusman?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Affirmative.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So that is a 7-0 vote. The motion carries, and that will move us to our next petition, item number 6 tonight, 2019-171 by Anthony Kuhn and William.
Thank you. This parcel is approximately 2.5 acres, located at 3000 North Tryon Street, just west of this intersection with 36th Street. The petition proposes to rezone a parcel from an industrial zoning district to a conventional transit-oriented development district, TOD-UC, which would allow the site to be developed but with a mixture of uses permitted by right or through prescribed conditions. Naturally, there's no site plan, so there's nothing to share there. The petition is inconsistent with the North Tryon area plans recommendation for office retail uses for the site. However, staff recommends approval of this petition as it is around a half a mile from the 36th Street station. TOD is according to ordinance, appropriate zoning designation for this piece of property. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great. Does on the Planning Commission or Zoning Committee have questions for Will? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right, motion from Gusman, second from?
Ham, seconds.
Second from Ham. Philip, if you'll do us the honor.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-171 as it appears before us, and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
All right, having been moved and seconded, is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, the chair moves to the vote. Gusman?
Yes.
All right, Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins,
Yes.
Wiggins. Nancy Wiggins. And the chair votes yes. That's going to be at 7-0. The motion carries, and that is going to move us to the next part of our agenda. That's going to be item number 7, rezoning petition 2019-185 by Freedom Communities. And Lisa, it's all yours.
Thank you. This petition is located on the south side of Tuckasegee Road, east of Gaston Street and west of Carindale Avenue. The request is to go to URCD from R3 or from R5, sorry. Since the public hearing, they have addressed the comment of having office uses removed as a note on the site. The request is to allow a church to operate a daycare on the parcel. Although currently R5 does allow daycares as an accessory use, since the church won't be the operator of this particular facility, they have to go through a rezoning to a commercial district to be able to allow this type of use on the property. But the church is going to remain there. The only thing that's really changing on the site is the addition of a daycare center in one of the existing buildings. Staff recommends approval of this petition. The petition is inconsistent with the central district plan and use for the site of single family up to 5 units per acre.
Thank you for that, Lisa. Any planning commission discussion, debate, questions, monologues?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve from Ham, second by Wiggins. John, if you'll do the honor.
All right, motion to approve 2019-185. The consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-185 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
All right, having been properly moved and seconded, is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Gussman?
Yes, affirmative.
Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins? Cozy? Did we lose Cozy?
No, sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
All right, the chair votes yes. That is a 7-0 vote for 2019-185, and that will move us on to the next part of our agenda, rezoning petition 2019-156 by Parkwood Plaza. And Will.
Thank you. This is approximately a half acre located at 1118 Parkwood, adjacent to Pegram in the Belmont neighborhood. Petition is proposing to conditionally rezone 2 vacant parcels at that corner to allow for the construction of a multifamily structure with up to 17 units, resulting in a DUA of 33.5. As far as request details, site plan details, this petition is committing to at least 3 affordable rate units, maximum height of 42 feet. Also is committing, and I think this is in conjunction with some of the community wants and desires, commits to providing an in-ground swing near the location of the cat's waiting pad, which is similarly designed to others placed in the Belmont community. Also commits to multiple architectural standards. The petition is inconsistent with the Belmont Area Revitalization Plan's recommendation for multifamily uses up to 22 dwelling units per acre. Staff does recommend approval of this petition upon resolution of requested technical revisions, which they have agreed to, and really those technical revisions are just to button up some commitments that exist, but just a little cleaning before it goes to decision is really what those are for. I'm happy to take any questions on this petition.
And just,
Thank you.
sorry, just to clarify a couple things just from staff's end. We did have some questions on some items on this petition. at the hearing that have been addressed, mainly the connectivity from this piece to the adjoining piece addressed, and there was some issues with the fencing that we've gotten a commitment for them to address prior to decision, so that may still show up in the staff analysis, but just some conversations we've had over the last week or so just to try and get some of those things buttoned up. Like Will had said, everything seems to be in good order, and what we've gotten from the petitioner and their development team has really, like we said, addressed the items that came up during the public hearing. So we feel like everything should be cleaned up, as Will said, and buttoned up for that decision in a couple of weeks. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks for adding, Dave. I think I saw Commissioner Watkins's hand earlier.
I just wanted to make sure that the issues that was in the public hearing had been addressed. I'm good.
Sam, this is Pete.
Well, Cozy, can you speak to the issues that were?
I know that they were talking about some of the connectivity, and that's been a big issue for us, and how they were going to do some of the fencing and some of the amenities. But I was real interested in the connectivity between those states, those parcels there, to make sure that that was going to be convenient for the people moving in and not a distraction for those that are living there. So I'm happy.
Great. So Commissioner Kelly?
And my question is, has there been any clarification on what's the definition of an affordable apartment?
I'll speak to that. That's one of the items that is in the requested technical revisions. So they do say affordable rate, but you're correct that that has not been defined. So we would ask that is defined in some way, whether it's 80% AMI, 30, 60, however they would like to define it. We would like to have that memorialized on the plan before it goes to
City Council.
council decision.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would like to request that they consider 60% if they're only going to do 3, please.
Well, so Commissioner Wiggins, is that a condition of your approval? Because just to clarify for everybody who's watching at home, we cannot put something as a zoning committee in the plan. Only the petitioner can put something in the plan, and if that's not there, we can vote against it, but we can't.
No, it's just a comment that I would prefer that they do it. I am not making it a condition of my vote.
Great. So quick question for staff and CDOT here.
And I have a question too, Sam, when you have a second.
Oh, I didn't hear it, so you can go first, Victoria.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I know, when was the Belmont Area Revitalization Plan adopted? Can you tell me which year? I just don't remember. Do you have that information?
Yeah, 2003.
Okay, so it's a fairly old area plan.
And to speak to that, some pretty fundamental changes have been made along Parkwood, including an anticipation of the road as well as the blue line.
Hey, John, can you mute your microphone? John Hamm, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. All right, Philip, you should be ready to go.
Sure. And just to speak to that Belmont Area Revitalization Plan went through before a number of things have changed as well, including a road diet on Parkwood and the Blue Line Station coming open just less than a mile away. This is a street that we expect is going to be going through quite a few different changes. Just on the rezoning that's adjacent to it and some other rezonings that are on the docket that is in fitting with what this project is. So to speak to Victoria's point, yeah, the plan, I don't think for this part of Belmont is terribly relevant anymore.
Great.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thanks.
So if we don't have any other commissioners talking, I have one quick question for staff and CDOT. So this road is one of the most dangerous in Charlotte, and all of our statistics show that. Parkwood is, I drive on it every day, and Parkwood is one of our targets for Vision Zero for our city efforts to reduce the number of pedestrian accidents and fatalities and the number of traffic accidents and fatalities that we have in the city. Is there any traffic calming or speed mitigation that is going into this plan as it, this is this is probably the largest amount of density that we've had abutting Parkwood between the plaza and North Davidson Street.
Sorry, this is Felix over. I had to unmute my microphone. Yes, the Parkwood project is actually going to provide traffic calming. They're going to install buffer bike lanes, and what that's going to do is it's going to provide traffic calming. They're also going to provide some additional pedestrian improvements in the area to make it easier for pedestrians to cross the road. So the short answer is yes. The Parkwood project is going to provide traffic calming to address some of the concerns that are out there.
Great.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to just ask again, this is not something that's going to make my vote contingent, but if they could possibly put in a crosswalk there, because there are so many units across from probably what will be a bus stop or an area where someone would catch the bus, it would be helpful.
Felix, have there been any commitments like that?
I believe so. I believe the Parkwood project is going to promote walkability. As part of that, is they're looking to provide some signals to make it easier for pedestrians to cross the road. So that is being taken into consideration as part of the capital investment project.
Great.
So I just have a follow-up question to Felix, if that's okay, Chairman.
Absolutely.
So what is the timeline for the Parkwood project that you're referring to?
Hi, yes, it's I'm looking it up right here. So it's part of our staff analysis. It's showing a construction starting the first quarter of 2021 and ending the third quarter of 2021.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is hearing no other discussion, debate, or questions, is there a motion?
Move to approve, Wasike.
All right. Wasike moves to approve, and there's a second from?
Second.
Second from Wiggins. Your honor to read the statement, Victoria.
Having reviewed the petition and consider the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-156 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Great. Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, the chair moves to the vote. Gussman?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. That is a 7-0 vote. That is going to move us to our next petition of the night. That is 2019-115 by Northwood Development LLC, also known as Ballantyne Reimagined. John?
Thanks. Can you hear me?
We can hear you good.
All right. So this is a petition for 454 acres south of I-45 at Johnston Road. It's proposing to rezone large area that's a mix of BPCD, Business Park Conditional, O3, Office Conditional, and going to proposed zoning of MUD O, Mixed Use Development Optional. or 5-year vested rights. This is basically the Ballantyne Corporate Park and the resort golf course that is there. Basically to urbanize the area to be more in line with what you might see at a transit station area. Staff is recommending approval of the petition upon a resolution of, sorry, no, that's actually been addressed. So all the issues have been addressed. So there's no outstanding issues. Staff recommends approval. It is generally consistent with the South District Plan's recommendations of office, retail, and industrial warehouse distribution, office business park, office residential across the overall site. And it's consistent with the plan policies for supporting integrating mix of uses in the Ballantyne Town Center, Regional Mixed Use Center, with the goals of an activity center found in the center's corridors and wedges growth framework that call for a mix of uses and in a pedestrian-oriented form. The petitioner has been, as I said, continue to work on all the outstanding issues. I think you all hopefully received a letter from the petitioner's agent, Jeff Brown, addressing some of the things that were brought up at the hearing about the schools. I'm not really somebody that could answer any additional questions you might have about the school demand in that area. And if you do have questions, we can try to get you answers if need be. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Great. Thank you, John. I would like to ask two things on this petition. Number one, if you are not speaking, please mute your phones. And number two, since I know a lot of folks want to speak on this petition, what I'm going to do to keep it fair and keep it moving along is that I'm going to go down the line based on our order. So, Philip, I'll let you speak first, or you can just pass if you don't have any comments.
Sure. I have some. While I think that most of this plan is exactly what we need to see in the urbanization of that part of our city, I am concerned about the honestly that we still have such a amount of concern is being shown by on the school side, on the CMS side. I would really like to have seen more of that resolved with a little bit more of a more clear plan of everyone in agreement. So I have considerable reservations about this, even though for the most part, I really liked the plan. That's my comments for now. Thanks.
Ham, speaker pass.
Pass for now.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, I'm in support of this plan. I think the issues around the schooling are legitimate, but I think it should have been taken care of earlier when their broader Ballantyne base was planned and additional land was set aside and subsequently sold by the school board. I'm not sure we should be holding this type of land accountable for set aside schools.
All right, Wasuke, our Ballantyne native on the Planning Commission.
I do have a few comments. I do think that this is a good plan all in all. You have to, in my opinion, you have to kind of weigh the burden with the benefits. And I do respect the fact that this is controlled by one owner, and it will be a holistic plan and not just ad hoc redevelopment in such a large area in the Ballantyne community. I am also happy to see that transit is moving forward, and there's potential for 3 stops. Still need funding, but at least we're in the 2030 plan right now. So there are a lot of pluses as far as transportation. I do think, of course, the neighborhoods are still worried about transportation. I think that's an issue that we'll have to continue. But I do think that the petitioner has been a champion in that area. The other issue now that has come up are schools. Of course, I have students in the Ballantyne area, and overcrowding is always an issue. This is something that I've advocated in my different roles for the Ballantyne community. But I will say, I do think that we have a lot of progress in that area. we do have funding. We already have funding from various bond initiatives for high school that will relieve some pressure. We have Ray Farm starting, actually this year coming up, and that should relieve some pressure in at least my kids' school, the elementary school, and also the middle school. And then, there's the purchase of the land across from Ardrey Kell that's been purchased. So I just think we need to continue this narrative. There is a problem. I am seeing progress. I'm very happy to say, but I do think that we need to continue this progress because it's going to only be, an issue unless we kind of get out in front of it. And I'm so happy that people are actually coming to the table at this point. My main issue or my main concern would be, I do know that Northwood has kind of stated that they've kind of offered, land in the past, and getting some information by Chairwoman Dashew for the school board, saying that maybe small concessions could be made. Maybe just some floors in the office building, knowing that those smaller conversations are happening and continue to happen. And I do hope that Northwood will continue those conversations. Then that will put me in a good place with this. I don't think we can ask a developer to give 36 acres of land. But I also think that, that the conversations that are happening, if we can continue those, it'll help move the ball forward. So right now, I am, I won't say I'm thrilled with the school situation here, but I do see that we're making a bit of progress down here. And I just really hope that Northwood continues to be a player for us and an advocate with us in the community.
Thank you, Victoria. Watkins.
Okay, great. Hi. Yes. I have to agree with my fellow commissioner. I did speak with Chairman Elise Dashew about this issue. And one thing that it seemed to come together is that this is a bigger conversation than zoning. This is a policy issue where all of our divisions of government are going to have to get together and deal with the school system because this is across Mecklenburg County. And to kind of, she certainly picked a venue that was going to get some attention and start some conversation. But my concern is the policy aspect and the precedents that we set. What we do does not go without merit. And I think that if builders are interested in assisting and donating and getting in this conversation, that's fine. But for us to make it a condition of whether we support or deny, I think that makes it difficult because now we have set precedents that'll be carried across the line. Otherwise, it won't be fair. So I did speak with her and I did tell her that to me this was a great conversation, but it wasn't one that could just hinge, I believe, on just how we zone a parcel of property. And I think that this is consistent with what is already going on in the area. So I don't think it's a detractor by any means. So I'm in favor of it, but I do believe that the conversation now is on everybody's onus to get together and see what we can do for all the children in Mecklenburg County. The gauntlet has already been cast, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes to the table first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Wiggins?
Yes, I have a few remarks. I was on the Planning Commission when we originally rezoned all of this property from a hunting retreat to the community, the Edge City that it has become so far. And fortunately for Charlotte, the landowners had some good rental out there and plenty of land when we hit a snag as far as development nationwide because of a recession, and because they had the foresight that they had in uncertain times, Charlotte was able to attract a number of national and international headquarters to the Ballantyne area because it was the only game in town. And I think that in these uncertain times, that may also be a factor. So I am in favor of it. I understand the needs for the schools, but I also agree that is a larger conversation that needs to be made in a different venue.
All right, thank you very much, Nancy. So that brings it to me. So a couple of things I want to hit on here. Number one, I'm going to vote against this tonight. As a zoning committee, there are two things that we're able to consider when we make land use decisions for the city of Charlotte. Number one is the consistency with adopted area plans, and number two is the adequacy of public facilities, which include water, roads, traffic, parks, and of course schools. So where I come down is this. I'm somebody who comes from a background where when I was in fifth grade, I was in a 50-kid classroom. I think that school overcrowding is definitely an issue that is important for us to consider. And while we don't consider school overcrowding when we're doing a 2-acre, 3-acre rezoning, we have set a precedent in Charlotte that it is something that we can consider on bigger rezonings that we know are going to create a lot of students. We know that this rezoning, according to the petitioner, it's going to create over 500 new students. According to CMS's analysis, it's going to create over 800. So this project is the biggest private rezoning that we've had as a zoning committee since the River District. And in the consistency statement that we had for the River District project, we put in that consistency statement that one of the reasons that we as a planning commission voted for it was that because there was a commitment to future public school facility needs. That was in the consistency statement that was passed by zoning committee and approved by the city council. So we've debated internally on planning commission, and we've talked to the Charlotte Mecklenburg schools about where the line should be for considering adequate school facilities. We know that wherever that line is, a project this big has to be on the side of the line where we take all adequate facilities into consideration, and that includes our schools. We are not allowed to consider affordable housing when we make zoning decisions. Whether or not you believe we should, we are not allowed to consider affordable housing in conditional rezonings as part of our land use decision. We are able to consider schools, we are able to consider roads and parks and other public infrastructure. So simply based on what the zoning committee has done in the past, what the city council has done in the past, I believe a project of this side should demonstrate a commitment to future public school facility needs. Because it's not fair to tell one large conditional rezoning that they have to do that and not hold another large conditional rezoning to the same standard. The plan for this project as it stands doesn't hold that to the same standard where we would have a consideration of future public school needs. So that is why I'm voting against this. And I do want to clarify, this also isn't a choice. I think that there's been a dichotomy that, in my view, is not correct, that has been presented, that this is the choice between, a developer giving 35 acres of land and a developer giving nothing to the schools. I don't think that that's true. I do think that there's something that could be done with this petition that prepares better for future public school needs. When we do something this big, we should, and that's why I'm voting against. Are there any other comments or questions from the zoning committee?
Yes, just Phil Gussman, and I appreciate that the conversations are being had. And one of the things in my couple of years now on the zoning committee that people have asked me is, well, you didn't do anything about the schools for that one. When is it too big? What is that line? And we bumped into one where I looked at it and I went, well, that's the line, or it's over the line at the very least. And I'm not pushing for the initial thing, I know the 30 acres or whatever. I think the CMS and this developer needs to come to a little bit better compromise is really what I'm looking for. And yes, it really should have been done before this. And I'm tired of voting on these things, assuming a lot of this stuff is going to get worked out, honestly. And this is one that's too big to get wrong, I think. So I'm also a negative vote.
Thank you, Philip. Any other questions or comments, or is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, before we get there, one of the things I think that we have to be sensitive to in the Valentine area, but schools, is there are a number of private schools in the area that take some of the overcrowding burden off the of CMS. And it's just a comment, but there are quite a few, so I just thought I would make that remark.
This is Commissioner Ham. I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, Philip and Sam, I know that there was some information provided back as it relates to the schools and the overcrowding. Are you open, or is it possible maybe we can kind of see if we can facilitate a broader discussion with CMS and maybe have them come back with the petitioner and maybe present some more information to us that might give you a little more comfort in the petition?
I would be open to a deferral.
I would also.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the petitioner has gone a lot. When we defer things, I think that it should be because they have not met our land use. I do not believe this project does not meet that land use. What we would be deferring for is policy issues and negotiation and networking. I think that should go on behind us and outside of us. I don't see where this falls under our purview of land use. And I think it's for me, a slippery slope to look at schools, and most of our schools are overcrowded, greater than 130+%. And I don't see that going down. So I think that we set a precedence here tonight for deferral. I think that's going to be a loud statement, and policies will have to change to make a difference in this. And people will have to come to the table, which we cannot negotiate. So for me, I believe we should stick with what our mandate is and the land use. If this is not a good use of land, then we should vote no. If it is a good use, then I think we should vote yes. Should there be a further discussion? Absolutely. And it shouldn't have been tonight. It shouldn't have come down to this. We should have been having these discussions all along, because the issue has always existed, has existed for a long time. So for me, I would not be in favor of deferral for that reason.
There's not currently a motion, so there's no motion to speak to.
I know.
There's only the previous question.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I am in favor of this for this project to go forward for a variety of reasons. I think that given the nature of our times right now, that serious consideration has to be given to the potential of money and all of this that's available to have this project move forward. And I have not been told by the petitioner that is a time sensitive issue, but my experience in commercial real estate since 1984 suggests that it could be. And I think that it's unreasonable to burden this petitioner with the school issue at this time. So I'm in favor of having it. But because I don't have the proper thing to read for asking for approval of this petition, I would like to defer to someone else to do the reading, and I would like to be the second.
Sam, this is Pete.
Yeah.
I think we all agree that the schools are important and it's a problem in Mecklenburg County. I'm not sure it's a fair analogy to compare the River District to this redevelopment. One was a green field, literally. This one is going into a pre-existing complex that had already been allocated to the business side and further increasing the density aligned with our strategies as a city. So to me, these are different problems. So I'm not sure the precedent from the River District should apply.
So I appreciate that, and that's something I've talked about with both the petitioner and the chair of the school board. I do think that what we're determining here is our ordinance as a city council and a zoning committee. As I said earlier, we consider two things. We consider plan consistency if the land use decision is consistent with the plan, and our charge has us consider whether or not there's the adequacy of public facilities. I do think that in the past we have drawn a line and said that with projects that are going to generate a certain number of students, we are going to make sure that the plan for the conditional rezoning plans for future public school students. My opposition is based on the idea that with a project like this, which is going to cause $19 to $29 million worth of capital costs for Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, that is clearly on the other side of the line of where we should consider this and where there is a need for adequate facilities. So I definitely appreciate your comment, but that side's where I'm coming from, where no matter what, there's still going to be a significant need for capital funding for CMS out of this rezoning. All right. Are there any other questions, comments from somebody who hasn't spoken twice?
One thing that wasn't really mentioned that I really like, though, is that they do have a affordable housing component to this. I really like that.
John, I'm going to stop you there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there is no consideration of affordable housing in our land use decisions.
You can like it.
All right. Does somebody have a motion?
I said before, I'd be glad to move, but I don't have the petition, the correct response to make the motion, but I will make the motion if somebody else will read that petition.
I've got it, Nancy.
Thank you.
So I'll have Cozy as making the motion, Nancy Wiggins is the second, and Cozy,
Yes.
do us the honors.
All right, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by the staff to approve this petition, I move we recommend approval of petition 2019-115. Its appearance before us. Oh, wait a minute. I move that petition and its appearance before us and adopt the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any additional discussion or debate? The chair hears none and will move to the vote. Commissioner Gussman?
I'm a no.
All right. Commissioner Ham?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Wasike?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiggins?
Yes.
All right. By the chair's determination, the votes are 5-2 to approve. The chair will take the liberty of starting the statement in opposition. My minority opinion is that a rezoning of this size should demonstrate a commitment to future public school facility needs, which this petition does not. Philip, let me know if you have anything to add to that.
The only thing I would add is I would encourage the petitioner to work with CMS to find a solution outside of outside of the rezoning process.
Perfect. Great. Well,
Excellent.
seems like a pretty good minority statement. That 5-2 vote moves us on to the next part of our agenda. That's going to be rezoning petition 2019-183 by Rhino Partners Coffee, LLC.
2019-183 consists of approximately 0.241 acres and is located on the west side of the plaza, north of Commonwealth Avenue. The petitioner is Rhino Partners Coffee LLC, and the request is for general business with pet overlay optional request to allow all uses, as well as a reduction in the parking requirements for an existing two-story building that is currently used as a restaurant located in the Plaza Midwood business community. The petitioner has addressed all outstanding issues on the site plan. The request is consistent with the Plaza Central Petscape Plan, which recommends retail mixed use, and staff does recommend approval of this request.
All right. Any discussion, debate, or questions from the zoning committee?
Just a comment from me.
Go right ahead, Philip.
This is our old sushi place, but an adaptation and reuse of a building that was just built. So while it's most of the adaptive reuses I support are for very old buildings, this one's brand new. It really is adjusting the parking requirements to more to in line with a mostly walk-up coffee bar. I'm in support of it, and I'll make the motion if no one else has comments.
All right. Any other questions or comments on this one? Philip, you
motion to approve.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second, Wasike.
Second from Wasike. Any Philip?
Certainly. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-183 as it appears before us, and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
All right, now, having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion or debate? Hearing none, the chair moves to the vote. Gussman?
I'm still a yes.
All right, Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins? Cozy, your mic's off.
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So that is a 7-0 vote. And that is going to move us to number 11 on our agenda. That's 2019-172 by Sharon Academy Properties, LLC. And John Kinley is our staff resource.
Thanks, Sam. This is approximately 4.12 acres.
John, can you speak up?
Yeah, can you hear me better?
I can. I have a thunderstorm behind me, so if as loud as you can speak would be helpful. Thank you.
All right, just a second. Can you hear me any better now?
Yes.
Good on my end.
This is approximately 4.12 acres located on the northeast corner of Tyvola and Wedgwood. It is a conventional petition going from R4 single-family residential to institutional. Again, no site plan with this petition. It would allow all uses in the institutional zoning district. The plan, the Park Woodlawn area plan, does recommend a residential development up to 8 units per acre. So this would be inconsistent with the area plan, but area plans don't typically recommend locations for future institutional uses. Staff recommends approval.
All right, great, John. Thank you for that presentation. Are there any comments or questions from the zoning committee? Concerns? Soliloquies? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve, Ham.
Motion by Ham, second by?
Second, Phil.
By Gussman. Your Honor, John?
Okay. The petition has found that the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-172 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Wonderful. Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any additional discussion or debate from the zoning committee? Hearing none, the chair calls the vote. Gussman?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
Chair votes in the affirmative as well. That passes 7-0 and moves us on to our next rezoning petition. That's going to be 2019-178 by DRB Group. And Lisa is our staff resource.
Thank you. This site is approximately 11.5 acres located on the east side of Rossell's Ferry Road, west of West Trade Street near Judson Avenue and Zebulon Avenue. The request is to rezone the property to URC CD from I2 CD. The petition proposes to develop the site with 133 townhome units, the density of 11.6 dwelling units per acre. Since the public hearing, they have addressed the majority of the issues, and actually since the staff reports come out, they have addressed the outstanding urban forestry comment that is in the staff analysis. So they have, they've changed the site plan, and we're able to address all staff comments at this point. So we recommend approval of this petition. The petition is inconsistent with the Central District Plan recommendation for industrial land use for the site, but it is, compatible with what the development is in the area for, mixed use development with its location near the Skold Line and Greenway.
Great. Thank you, Lisa, for that presentation. Any questions, concerns, discussion from zoning community?
I had one question.
Go ahead.
And this, I noticed this during the public hearing. What is the large building in the middle of that property almost that's in the center of this development area? And I did not get that one right there.
If somebody's trying to answer, you are muted, but we would appreciate an answer on this tonight's edition of Name That Building.
Philip, I think that's the Bar Association.
Yes, it's the Bar Association office building there.
It is. Okay. I knew it was an office building from previous research, but I was unable to figure out what it was. So thank you very much. It's just thank you.
Hi, Lisa. This is Commissioner Ham. Quick question. I noticed there were quite a few attendees in the community for the community meeting. I haven't had a chance to go out and read those. What were the concerns, the overriding theme for those attendees? Hello?
I'd have to pull up the community meeting notes. I didn't attend it, so I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head what they were concerned about.
Okay.
Anybody on zoning who can answer that, or on planning staff?
I'm looking into it right now. So in looking at the community meeting report, it looks like we've got some questions about garages and that they would be single car garages and 2-car garages. So it looks like there was a question about that component of the development, just in terms of how the townhomes would be developed. There was a question about sidewalks. The response was that they would locate the sidewalk on Zebulon Avenue at the top of the hill. The petitioner also stated they would work with staff to see if that could be accomplished. There was also a question about some of the larger units that would be approximately 2,000 square feet to approximately 2,600 square feet of floor area. Smaller units would be about 1,600 square feet to about 2,200 square feet. So we just talked about the different sizes of the units. Some may have an optional 4th floor with a rooftop terrace on them. And they mentioned that the town units have a mix of exterior building materials, but no vinyl siding. And also stated that they would be more traditional as opposed to more of an urban look for the townhome. So they would be a little bit more of the traditional style Looks like there were some questions again about sidewalks, whether they would be public, and that the answer was that they would be located in a public right of way or they'd have a public easement. Question about, the sidewalks were a couple that looks like that came up quite a few times. It was a question about price points, that they would be market rate, and they would be, generally from 300s to 400s. That's something we consider in our analysis of it, just more of a land use issue on our end rather than price points. There were some questions about traffic on Russell's Ferry Road, and they talked a little bit about how they would be a more walkable development, and tried to at least talk about how traffic would be at least was an impact of the project. Doesn't look like there was a real response. As we mentioned, there were no real issues from a CDOT standpoint, or no traffic analysis was warranted for this project. And they talked a little bit about wanting the site to be developed for commercial uses or affordable housing, and just talked about whether they would be rental or for sale units. Again, not something we typically get into, but they did indicate they would be for sale units. Had some environmental questions which have been addressed. And looks like there were just some others that were talking about some of the commercial space. There were a pretty good list of questions. I'm not going to belabor reading the continued questions that came up. Looks like a lot of them were just about what happens if phase one doesn't sell well, what happens to the project. So mainly it looked like they were just questions about the impacts of the development, price point, what the end look would be. I don't see any other real significant concerns, but there is quite a few bullet points on the community report. Certainly is available on the website on this petition page, so you can look through that a little bit further. But from our standpoint, all of the land use issues and other issues, as Lisa had mentioned, have been addressed from staff plan review standpoint. So some of the concerns looks like I don't believe we had anybody that spoke in opposition at the public hearing last month on this one. So I would imagine that is an indication that folks felt that they either had the issues addressed or they meeting and carry them forward to the petitioner that way. So
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a bunch, Dave. Any other questions from the zoning committee? Comments? All right. Just one quick comment for me. I know that it is a residential rezoning for families that abuts I-2, heavy industrial, which is our highest impact zoning level. Are there any brownfield or safety considerations that we have to be worried about placing residential this close to an I-2?
Lisa, were there any concerns raised from any other agencies on that item?
I don't believe so. And I think at one point, this property actually was a residential project. Before it was rezoned to the current zoning, it was residential prior to that. It's sat vacant for years.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Do I hear a motion? If you're making a motion, you're muted.
So moved.
There we go. Cozy with motion, and we have a second from Wiggins. And Cozy, if you do us the honors.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by the staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition 2019-178 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
All right. Having been properly moved and seconded, are there any other questions, concerns from zoning committee? Hearing none, the chair moves to the vote. Gusman.
Sorry, I wasn't quick on the move. Yes.
All right. Ham.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Wasike.
Yes.
Watkins.
Yes.
Wiggins.
Yes.
And the chair will vote in the negative as I continue to have unreadiness about voting for I2. My minority opinion will be that the proposed project abuts an active I2 industrial use. And that will move us on to our next petition of the night. This is our final one, 2019-181 by Clay Cooper, Woda Cooper Development Incorporated. And we are going to hear from Michael.
Thank you. This is approximately 6.54 acres located on the east side of North Lake Center Parkway, north of North Lake Mall Drive. The current zoning is R3, single family residential. Proposed zoning is UR2 CD. The petition proposes up to 78 multifamily residential dwelling units. The plan is consistent with the North Lake Area Plan recommendation for residential development up to 22 dwelling units per acre. They are also committing to providing a workforce housing program. All of the outstanding issues have been addressed, and staff recommends approval of this petition.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Michael. Are there any comments, questions, concerns from the zoning committee? 5-second TikTok videos? All right. Hearing nothing, are we going to have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right. Motion approved from Philip. We have a second from Nancy.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2019-181 as it appears before us, and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Great. Thank you for that. Having been properly moved and seconded by Gusman and Wiggins, we're going to entertain any additional discussion, debate, questions. Hearing none, the chair calls the vote. Gusman?
Yes.
Ham?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Wasike?
Yes.
Watkins?
Yes.
Wiggins?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That is the conclusion of our agenda for tonight with a 7-0 vote on that last project. I would like to thank you all for being attentive, and I would like to give a special shout out to our zoning committee. Please do not tell the city council, but you all are better at WebEx than they are. So great job moving this along tonight. Thank you all so much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to interrupt just a second. I apologize. Today is Cinco de Mayo, and I would like to recognize our Hispanic contractors for the wonderful work that they have done in tilt wall construction that makes our industrial complexes as good as they are. Thank you.
All right. And the point from Commissioner Wiggins is well received. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Watkins.
I won't belabor, but May is Nursing Month, where you recognize all your nurses, and certainly we've had some on the front line. So if you know a nurse, give them a thumbs up.
And that includes Commissioner Watkins, who I know is a diligent and amazing nurse and healthcare professional who looks out for a lot of people. Finally, since y'all had your months, May is Teacher Appreciation Month, so don't forget to wear red for Ed. And if there's nothing other for the good of the order, I'm happy to bring this meeting to a close and say that we stand adjourned. As always, thank you, staff, very much for your support. And everybody watching at home, have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.